Hello guys, welcome back. It's been quite a while since my last POE2 video, but I'm really excited to be back. We are like 12 hours away from the release of Dawn of the Hunt, the 0.2 patch for Path of Exile. So you're probably just excited as I am. Even though, in my opinion, I thought that the patch notes were slightly underwhelming. I was kind of expecting some redesign go to happen besides the just the adjustments of numbers going up and going down. I thought that some things would or still are requiring overhaul or a redesign. But overall, I have to say that most of the things in the patch notes were expected. A lot of nerfs happened, which were absolutely required. Nothing to complain about that. But yeah, I do trust GGG. They have made pretty solid choices in the past. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that works out. And of course, we also have the 100 support gems, I believe, that we do not know much about so far. And they also mentioned that most of the current skill gems have been reworked. I don't think that's that big of an issue because I think they were talking about the changes that they have already specified within the patch notes, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. So, taking that into consideration, this video is going to be a bit more speculative, so take it with a grain of salt. I will be going through how the specific lines that impact the builds that I made. So, that I'm talking about the Sunder Totem build or the attribute stacking staff build. Of course, with zero resistance using Veil of the Night. I will will be going over how the patch notes impact those builds, but also Blood Mages in general. So if you're curious about that, if you're planning on trying one of these builds or going Blood Mage or just not sure yet, stick around for this video and see what you may be able to expect. I will also be sharing with you my plan about this quote league start and how I plan to approach it, and maybe you will choose to join me. Yeah, so that being said, let's get into it. The first line, and I think the line that has the potential to break the Sunder Totem build, is a line that says fixed a bug where Sunder Totem's Aftershocks could hit enemies too many times. Now, the Sunder Totem build that I made was not abusing this bug. However, this bug may have still been occurring from time to time when we had a lot of mob density. To my knowledge, this bug was occurring when the caster of Sunder was at a specific distance from the target. Then the aftershock would proc like 3 times instead of a single time. So it obviously was pretty powerful, but I would just place totem randomly. Maybe sometimes they were at the proper distance, but overall, I don't think this is going to impact the build. However, there might be a slight DPS and when mapping decrease, but it might also be impacted by the way they chose to address this fix. Hopefully, it won't impact Thunder that much. So yeah, I'm pretty confident, and I plan to actually switch to Thunder as soon as I hit the required level of 52, and will obviously keep you updated on how that goes and if the build is impacted by this or not. I think it won't be. Another line in the patch notes reads, the mana cost for all attacks, marks, and war cries has been reduced, most notably at higher gem levels, and Sunder Totem as well as, Sunder skill as well as Ancestral Warrior Totem are both attacks, so them having reduced mana cost at higher levels, it's absolutely massive for this build. For context, it would cost around 2k health to cast a level 40 Ancestral Warrior Totem linked with Sunder, which is obviously a lot. It would go down to around 1k while using inspiration, but still the cost is really high. Now, I think to balance this, they reduced inspiration from 40% less cost to 30% less cost. I don't really see why they would do this. And I believe that most likely the reduced mana cost won't be enough for the builds to avoid using inspiration, so they will still have to use it. And with the fact that inspiration was reduced as well, it will have a net benefit that won't be actually that impactful. But this is just speculation. Maybe it will actually be a lot. Hopefully it will be, but we'll just have to wait and see. Another line reads that blocking a hit by raising your shield or parrying now gives you a chance to avoid accumulating heavy stun buildup equal to the chance you would otherwise have had to evade that hit. This is not that impactful, but it will help when we have some evasion. While using a resonating shield, it would just end up in the character to get less stunned. Still pretty nice addition. Next one is a ascendancy change. The Blood Barbs ascendancy passive skill no longer provides 10% of damage gain as extra physical damage. It now causes bleeding you inflict on cursed targets to be aggravated. This is quite an interesting change. You basically lose 10% more damage, but you get aggravated on your bleeds. This helps a lot on the bleed emphasis and is really interesting for the fire version of the build that will go for a lot of ignite and bleed damage. This build, I mean the Sunder Totem build, does use a enfeeble aura, so basically all the enemies around you will permanently be cursed, so therefore all the bleeds you cast around you are aggravated. It's a nice change. This is the type of change that I was expecting more of. Sadly, not that many of them. Most of the changes are strictly number based, but really interesting change. I plan to be playing around with it and see how exactly it impacts the build. Next up, there has been a new passive skill added in the ascendancy named Between the Cracks. It causes critical hits to ignore monster armor. This is just seems pretty bad overall, but for specifically for the Sunder Totem build, it's absolutely useless, but I thought I'd mention it just in case. Next one, Ancestral Warrior Totem now explicitly states that it wields two-handed mace. To clarify that it benefits from your mace-related skills, as well as the quality is now from plus 0 to 2 seconds to totem duration. Previously, it was up to 0.4. This is mostly visual, so that you see that everything that improves your mace skills also improve your Ancestral Warrior Totem, and some more duration. It's welcome, but not really all that impactful. Next up, Sunder Totem now has plus 1 second total attack time. Previously, it had 1.4, and the mana cost has been adjusted accordingly. Now, this is a buff. This would make your Sunder's attack more often. Very welcome change. This won't impact the Sunder Totem build that much while mapping, but it will probably help a lot for bossing. Overall, a very welcome change. Mace attacks are pretty slow, so this is very much welcomed. Next up, Brutality now causes support skills to deal 25% more physical damage. Previously, it was at 35. This is a change that I don't really understand. The only reasoning behind it is to push people towards the new support gems. I think this change is really going to eliminate Brutality. I think there are many better choices that won't reduce your damage to strictly being physical. Um, yeah, I think it was kind of unnecessary, and I don't see many builds using Brutality in the future in this way. Next change is in regards to Cannibalism, which now provides 2% of life recovered on kill while supported skill is active. Previously, it was 4%. It was really strong. It's not as strong right now, but it is something we will be using up until the point where we get a Sunderer shield. Once you have that shield, this becomes kind of redundant. It helps a bit, but you probably end up not using it after getting Sunderwear. So overall, uh, not really impactful in late game, kind of impactful early game. Inspiration now causes support skills to have 30% less costs. Previously, it was 40%. I already talked about this. Yeah, it's a change that I don't see necessary. I mean, if the mana costs are reduced enough to where people don't need to use inspiration anymore, then why bother nerfing it? I don't know. We'll just have to see. Next up are a few item nerfs, which I thought I'd mentioned. Warrior Invictus, I think it was completely gutted. The best stats that it rolled can no longer roll on it, like attributes, life, and things like that. They added some new ones, which I don't know what they are, but we'll have to see. Overall, I think that except for some really niche builds or specific cases, Warrior Invictus will see a drastic reduce in utility. So not many people will end up using it. The Pillar of the Cage God and Hand of Wisdom and Action gloves were both nerfed as expected. Their nerfs are pretty much down to half of the power that they used to have. I still think that they are viable. Overall, I still think that the stat stacking build, at least the version that I made with the Blood Mage and using Veil of the Night and Zero Resistances, I think that it's still viable. Of course, it will be probably like less than 50% of its former power. But for the investment that it requires and the power that it did have, I still think it's going to be pretty worth it. We'll just have to see. I will for sure test it once I can get my hands on a pair of Hand of Wisdom and Action gloves. I'll test it and let you know how it's going. And final thing, breach rings now have the implicit modifier of maximum quality to 40%. It used to be 50%. This is an overall nerf for any build that uses breach rings. And of course, it impacts the stat stacking staff build that I was presenting. Not much to say about this. This is kind of an expected nerf. It was bound to happen. Of course, I have to mention that also Ingenuity was nerfed. I think it's really bad right now. 30% from 80%. It's a huge difference, even though they added the charm slots. I think most of the builds would rather just go for a different build. We'll just have to see, but yeah, Ingenuity was completely destroyed in the nerfs. Yeah, that's about it in terms of the patch lines that impact either Blood Mages or specifically Sunder Totem build or stat stacking. Yeah, like I said, the changes are mostly number based, not that many redesigning going on, but looking forward to see how they're working. In terms of my plan for league start, I plan on going Blood Mage, of course. I will avoid the shiny new classes and ascendancies. Don't really like to play what other people are playing. Usually like to carve my own path. And for now, I will start safe and go for the Blood Mage. I will level using some basic minion build up to the point I get to level 52 where I can use Ancestral Warrior Totem. I won't make a build for the leveling part. I will link a video that covers it if you're interested, but I'm pretty sure you can find one on your own. It's a pretty common build, the minion part. So yeah. After reaching level 52, I will switch to Sunder Totem. I think that I will have enough gold to completely respect at that point, unless I gamble too much, which I don't normally do. I will use Sunder Totem up to high tier maps, and eventually, when I can buy a Hand of Wisdom and Action Gloves, I will probably switch to stacking just to check it out and see how is it going and update the build. And after that, I will start to experiment, probably try to go with a spear skill or just overall a new build. I have a lot of different build ideas that I plan to try out this week, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, I think that's about it. Looking forward to all the changes and see how's it going to shape up. Let me know if you have any question or if you disagree with anything that I said in this video. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for updates. Yeah, I will be posting frequent updates and sharing with you how all the builds shape up. Yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good league start. See ya. Bye.